morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to look at Galarian Mr. Rime. And I don't think I'm out of order here, saying that this is one of the hands-down weirdest Pokemon cards that we've seen in a long time. Now, I'm going to say straight off the bat that our translation here comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet, one of our very, very favourites here. Very lovely person. And starting off with the basics, we've got 120 HP. And I seem to have said this in like a billion videos lately, so it seems to have had a lot of 120 HP Pokemon. We want 130. There are too many Pokemon that naturally hit 120. 130 would be better. We don't want 120, boo hiss, etc. There, I've said it. Retreat cost of 2 means you can get free retreat, but you have to use Air Balloon. But then again, we do have Air Balloon, so it's not the end of the world. And we got a weakness to Metal here, because it's actually an ice Pokemon. And although water Pokemon tend to be weak to lightning now, see Lapras as an example, we do still see that if they were ice Pokemon in the video games, they come through with a metal weakness in the card game. In theory, it makes you weak to Zacian V, but Zacian V's already doing almost twice as much damage as you've got HP, so maybe some of the supporting cast in that deck will end up getting you. It's weirdly not a terrible weakness to have if you've got less than 230 HP, because Zacian's getting you anyway, so who really cares? There we go. Alrighty then. Oh, you're a water Pokemon. Water Pokemon means you can accelerate energy with Frostmoth, though the chances are you're probably not going to be attacking with this. You might be, but I find it very unlikely that you're going to be. More on that in a moment. Now, the ability here is one of the reasons why I think this is such a weird card. It's such a strange ability. Once during your turn, you may swap one of your opponent's face-down prize cards with the top card of their deck without looking at either card. What? It's very rare that we get a unique ability. Now, I might be wrong about this, but I do not remember seeing this ability on any other Pokemon. This seems weird. Now, I remember this ability very clearly for your own Pokemon. Back in the Heart Gold Soul Silver era, in Undaunted, we had a Rotom. And Rotom had this exact ability, but for your Pokemon. So you swapped one of your face-down prize cards with the top card of your deck. But this actually was really, really good at the time, because it was when Durant was one of the best decks in the format. And Durant, for a single metal energy, discarded the top card of your opponent's deck for each Durant you had in play. So you needed 4 Durant in play to mill 4 cards. You couldn't have a Durant prized. Rotom was your best option here. And it wasn't really just random, because we also had Alphlithograph at the time. These were weird secret rare cards in the Heart Gold Soul Silver era that were written in Unknown. And the best one of them, there were 4, but the best one of them was the Alphlithograph from Triumphant that let you look at your face-down prize cards. So you knew what they were, but they were still face-down, so you could use them with Rotom, and that was kind of awesome. It meant that you could get your Durant out your prize cards. So with Rotom, we could look at it and go, yes, this is amazing, this is what we do. Why would we possibly do this with Galarian Mr. Rime? And the answer is, it's a reaction to something that your opponent might be doing. So, for instance, what we actually have at the moment is we've got the Mr. Mime that came around in Detective Pikachu. Now, the Mr. Mime from Detective Pikachu's got a really nice ability, Pantomime. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may switch one of your face-down prize cards with the top card of your deck. Now, what you would do here is you would use the Oranguru from Sword and Shield to put a card on top of your deck. Then you would use Mr. Mime to put it in your prizes, and essentially what you do is you choose a card in your hand, put it on top of your deck with Oranguru, put it in your prizes with Mr. Mime, and then you've got a card you want in your prizes. Maybe one you want to draw later, or really, it's going to be Jirachi Prism Star. If Jirachi Prism Star comes out as a face-down prize card, you pop it on your bench and draw an extra prize. So Galarian Mr. Rime would be a direct counter to this. Your opponent uses, and I love that it's Mr. Rime and Mr. Mime, that is not lost on me. Your opponent uses Mr. Mime to put a Jirachi Prism Star into their prize cards. You then use Mr. Rime to swap it with the top card of their deck, so they draw into it, and now they've got nothing. Or, and this is probably a slightly simpler example, they use their Oranguru to put a card they want on top of their deck ready to draw next turn. Maybe something like Nugget. Nugget is the one whereby if you draw it as your card for the turn, you draw 3 cards. So Nugget, if it does see play, Nugget is going to be draw into it, use Oranguru to put it on top of your deck, and then you draw into it. So now what you do is you use Galarian Mr. Rime to swap one of your opponent's face-down prize cards with the top card of their deck, and then that Nugget that they wanted is actually in their prize cards, and as an extra kick in the teeth, they're going to draw it as a prize card, they're not going to draw it as their card for the turn. Ha! There are a bunch of Pokemon like Lampent, also Luxio and Lombre, who all have an ability whereby if they are drawn as the first card for your turn, they do just get put straight onto your bench as if they were like a stage 1 Pokemon, which is kind of ridiculous, and I love it. So, you know, something to bear in mind. Those Pokemon are coming, and they are actually going to be really, really good when they do come along. So yeah, good times. And these are the really specific uses. Stopping your opponent getting a Jirachi. Making sure that Nugget that they know and you know is on top of their deck isn't there anymore. Now, there are going to be some mind games here, of course, because Oranguru does not make you show your opponent what card you're putting on top of your deck. It is any card from your hand, so it doesn't matter what you put on there, so you don't get to see it. So there are going to be mind games where your opponent uses this and you're like, ah ha ha, it's their Nugget, and actually it's some pointless card they want to put in their prizes because they don't need it right now. They might have something really important prize, and you could accidentally give it to them as their top deck when it was in their prizes because you thought you were denying them a Nugget. You could use Galarian Mr. Rime here and actually give them something from their prizes they really wanted, and that would be very awkward. You got to do this carefully. Of course, what you really want to do here is have something like Lantern. Specifically, the Lantern from Cosmic Eclipse. Because the Lantern from Cosmic Eclipse has the ability Blinking Lights. As often as you like during your turn before you attack, you may look at the top card of your opponent's deck. So now, when you're using Galarian Mr. Rime, you know what the top card of their deck is, so it's really simple. Rather than pulling off some caper, you're just going, oh, they're going to get a really good top deck. So instead of letting them have the good top deck, you risk them getting a good card from their prizes. There is the Ipom that came in Cosmic Eclipse, which lets you put the top card on the bottom of their deck. And there is an argument you should just use Ipom to put it on bottom of their deck, rather than Galarian Mr. Rime to swap it with their prizes. But if you put it in their prizes, they're not drawing into it. Let's say, for argument's sake, they've played 2 Custom Catcher, and they really need some gusting, and you look at the top card of their deck and see it's a Custom Catcher. If you put that in their prizes, they've only got 1 Custom Catcher left in their deck. They cannot use it for gusting, and that could be awesome. This is an ability I've not seen before. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I mean, I haven't seen it before, but please correct me in the comments if I'm missing something, if it has been out before. And it's such an awkward one to use, because most of the time, you're just swapping a card you don't know what it is for another card you don't know what it is. But as I've shown, hopefully, there are ways to make it work. Now, as for the attack, we're not going to go too deep into the attack, because I don't think you're ever going to attack with Galarian Mr. Rime. The attack is Mad Party. We looked at this in a video the other day. 1 water, 2 colourless energy. This attack does 20 damage for each Pokemon with the attack Mad Party in your discard. Oh. It sounds really good, but the reality is if you want to use Mad Party, you're going to be using Poltegeist. Poltergeist has the same attack, but it's for 2 colourless energy, which means you can play it with a twin energy, or maybe even a triple acceleration energy, rather than having to use free energy. And the reality is, right, if you're actually attacking with Galarian Mr. Rime, you need to use Frostmoth. Which means not only are you trying to get all of your Mad Party members in your discard, but you're also having to try and get the free energy onto Mr. Mime, which means a stage 1 Frostmoth on the bench and free energy in hand. It's getting too awkward. I'm sure some people will try the Frostmoth build of Mad Party. I am very unconvinced at the moment. If anyone's wondering, the other Mad Party members are Bunnelby, that can also attack for a twin energy, which is pretty gosh darn good, and Dedenne, who is psychic double colourless, so the reality is Dedenne you're not attacking with. Remember that Poltergeist has got the awesome ability that lets you discard a Mad Party member from your hand and draw 2 cards, and the reality is that Galarian Mr. Rime will be played in a Mad Party deck, but the reason Galarian Mr. Rime will be played in Mad Party is the same reason that Lampent was played in Night March. It's a stage 1, so you cannot start with it, and it is literally just there to be discarded. And that's it. That's why you play it in the deck. You can play it, but if you want a stage 1, Poltergeist has got the amazing ability and can attack for 1 energy attachment. And then you've got Bunnelby as well, and that's enough attackers. I don't think you want to use Galarian Mr. Rime. Yes, you've got 120 HP, which is more than the other Mad Party members, but I still don't think it's good enough. Feel free to play it as its own Mad Party deck with Frostmoth to accelerate energy. I just think it's more awkward than the Poltergeist Bunnelby build, and I'm going to go for that one. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I think about Galarian Mr. Rime. It's awkward, right? On the basis of playing it because it's got a good ability but you're not going to attack with it, I give it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. As part of the Mad Party member deck, I've already given it 5 Wassies, so I suppose as a whole, let's split the difference and give it 4 Wassies. I do think this is a very good card. It's definitely going to be played in Mad Party. Seriously, having one you can't start with is awesome, because it means you're more likely to start with cards you do want to start with. But then by the same token, I do like the ability, and I do think that's going to see a bit of play as well. But I'd like to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice, and then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.